Today we are going to be making molasses bread. You know, like those little molasses cookies that you make. Love those cookies. So I want to try to turn them into a sourdough bread. So that's what we're doing today. So the scale is on. We're going to do 150 for starter. And the starter looks brown because I used wheat flour to feed her yesterday. Too much. There we go. Close enough. Let me knock her back down where she belongs. There we go. Later she'll get put in a clean jar and put in the refrigerator. Okay, I have warm water here. We're going to do 300 grams. I'll try not to go over because we're going to be using molasses. There we go. There's a little extra water just in case I need it. And we're going to do 60 grams, whoops, of molasses. I just use this grandma's molasses. This is just what I always have. I make my brown sugar with it, my molasses cookies, and now we're going to be trying this. So we're going to do 60 grams. Let me get a paper towel for that. A wet paper towel. Because that's going to be messy. I like to try to keep the rim clean so the lid is easier to get on and off since I don't use it all the time. A little tricky getting her out of there. Ooh. Okay, we did go over 4 grams. Should be fine. Okay. Oops. Said I like to keep it really clean. Here we go. You want to be able to get that lid off the next time you want to use it. So let's mix this up a little bit. So this is the first time I'm making this. So I didn't do a test run or anything. Because it's usually just my husband and myself eating this bread. And to do test runs, you'll have a lot of extra bread. And we just don't eat that much bread. I mean, we eat 2 loaves of sourdough a week, you know, an inclusion loaf and a plain loaf, but okay, let's put her back on the scale. And oops. Make sure I can see the numbers when I'm pouring the flour in. This is just bread flour. It's King Arthur bread flour. What I always use. You're going to need 500 grams of that. Come on. Don't want to come out the jar this morning. And I do make my breads in the morning and let them, go throughout the day. And I put it in the refrigerator, usually right before dinner. Oop. Flour dusted me. Okay, so we put the 500 grams of flour in. Now we're going to put our brown sugar in. And for brown sugar, guys, you can use anywhere, it depends on how sweet you want it, anywhere from 20 to 40 grams. I want mine on the sweeter side. So I am going to put the 40 grams in. And this is my homemade brown sugar. It's just sugar and molasses. 1 tablespoon of molasses per cup of sugar for light brown. 2 tablespoons of molasses per cup of sugar for dark brown. And it's just so much lighter and fluffier, and it does not clump together, and it doesn't get hard. So 60 or 40 grams, sorry. Let me check my recipe. Yes, 40 grams. 42 or 41, that's close enough. Not an exact science. Okay, and now we're going to do my normal 12 grams of salt. That's what I like in my bread. There we go. Okay, and then this part's a little bit different because I'm actually going to use a measuring spoon. I'm using a half a teaspoon so that I don't dirty up a bunch of different teaspoons or a bunch of different spoons. So for the cinnamon, you need 1 teaspoon, and like I said, this is a half, so I'm gonna put 2 in here. That was for the cinnamon. For the ginger, you need 1.5 teaspoons, so I'm going to have 3 of these little half teaspoons. 2, 3. Here's my ginger. And then we're going to do cloves. You can either do a fourth a teaspoon or a half a teaspoon, just depending on how strong you want the flavor. I'm going to do a half. Okay, and then once you have all of that in there, get it off the scale. You don't want to be mixing things on your scale. You'll mess up the balance in your scale, and then it won't be correct. So we're just going to get this all mixed up. I said I haven't made this before, so we'll have to see how it comes together. It looks like that's enough liquid. kind of switch tools. And you can use your hands here if you like. I prefer not to use my hands. See, the more you get after it, the more it starts getting rid of all those dry pieces. And you want to mix this really good. I mean, I'll usually mix mine for 3 or 4 minutes after it's come together, just to make sure I have all the dry bits. So right here's what she's looking like. You want to just make sure. See, I don't see any more. Oh, I see one dry bits here. Let me see if I can get that. So as long as you don't see any more dry bits in there, make sure you pull from the bottom and over. Okay. So I'm going to leave this sit for an hour. And then I'll come back and do my stretch and folds. I'll do my stretch and folds every hour. I do 3 or 4 sets depending on the dough and its needs. This one will probably need the 4 sets. It looks a little sticky, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to leave it sit on my counter until it's ready to shape. And then I'll shape it and put it in the refrigerator. I will be baking this tomorrow on 450 for about 50 minutes. I bake in a cold oven, cold Dutch oven, and I leave the lid on and I'll bake for 50 minutes. I will come back and show you some parts of that, but I mean, just the regular stretch and folds and stuff, I'm not going to be recording that today. Depending on what time she needs to be shaped, I might record some of that to put her in the Banneton and get her in the fridge. I will be using a tea towel instead of my Banneton cover because she's going to be a sticky girl. But you don't even have to use a Banneton. You can use a bowl or whatever you have on hand. Okay? So I'll definitely be showing you what it looks like after it bakes up, which will probably be tomorrow. Okay, so now we need to get this thing shaped up and put it in the fridge. I have to start dinner. So it's just gonna have to finish in the refrigerator. This is gonna be a very sticky dough because of all the molasses and brown sugar. So you want to flour it generously. Also flour your counter, your surface, wherever you're doing this at, generously. I don't think we're gonna get a clean drop on this one. Definitely not. Yeah, because she is extremely sticky. Yeah. Okay. So yes, we do have a sticky mess that we're working with, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens when you're doing inclusions. start some dinner. Sorry if you hear my dogs. Real life, I have dogs. They make noise. Sometimes a lot of noise. I don't have my mic on because I want to hurry up and get this in the refrigerator so I can start dinner. I don't like having this stuff out when my husband gets home. I like for everything to be neat and organized and ready for him to relax since he's been at work all day. I don't know if that's old school or if people still even do that. Stella, no bark. No, ma'am. So I'm just trying to tighten this up. So it smells delicious, so I hope it turns out as good as it smells. So I'm putting a good bit of flour in here. And guys, this is just my King Arthur all-purpose flour. And I'm going to drop it in here. Do a little bit of stitching on there. Yeah, since she's so sticky, I'm going to flour the top as well. And then I'm just going to drape this over and stick her in the fridge until probably tomorrow afternoon. I have some errands to run in the morning, so I'll come back when I get ready to bake it so you guys can see what it looks like. Okay guys, we're gonna get this molasses sourdough in the oven. I know I called it like a molasses cookie. Some people call them ginger snaps, which I just thought about that earlier today. My grandma called them molasses cookies, so that's why I call them that. But I've got my sling here. This is a new one that I got. I actually like these better. And this is wet parchment paper. But this bad boy grew while she was in the refrigerator. So we'll have to see how this comes out. Oops. Oh. Hope it doesn't deflate, because sometimes they will when they're poofed up like that. Trying to get her in the center here. Yeah, I think she's going to deflate a little bit, but that's okay. They usually still cook up very well. So we're just going to split her down the center here. I got this new lame. I actually like this one better. It cuts a lot better. And as you know, I don't do anything fancy. That's all we're doing here. So I'm just going to pick this up and put it in my pot. Now the only difference with this one is you have to make sure that you fold these in, because if you don't, your lid won't go on tight. I do have the oven preheating. I just started that before I started getting this together. But I started preheating it, and now that I have this on here, I'm just going to take it right on over and put her in the oven. And I'm going to bake it for 50 minutes. Okay, I just took her out of the oven, and this is what she's looking like. Put this back, and I'm just going to check her temp real quick. My thermometer here. I'm going to make sure it's cooked. Oh, definitely. It's over 210, so at least 200 is done. I'm going to get her out of here, put her on a cooling rack, and then I'll probably wait about 2 hours before I cut into it. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours, so let's cut this open and see what she looks like. And there we go. She looks pretty good. Smells just like a molasses cookie or ginger snap, whichever one you call it. Cut that real nice. Okay. Boy, that looks so good. I'm gonna have to get me a bite of this. See what this tastes like. Oh, it's still a little warm too. Look how good that looks. Look at that. It's so good. Oh yeah. Now it's got a nice flavor. That turned out pretty good. I hope you guys give it a try.